That's kind of where I'm always saying with like that's a great like segue to like this incremental changes.
Yeah.
But you just believe the story.
Mm-hmm.
You just believe the story, and I just try to correct you, help that story.
Yeah.
So like, here's how I would say: if you don't know anything
Mm-hmm.
about being strong, and let's just say that strong is 3 exercises, because in your sport, being strong is 3 exercises.
Yeah.
So strength is super specific to your exercise you train.
Yes. Yeah.
So like it's not the same as being strong like in a million things. It's just like strong in 3 things.
Yeah. It's not like caveman strong. It's strong in very specific situations.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would say to people. It's something like this. If you don't know anything, my advice would be this. Test how much you lift now. Lose 5 or 10 pounds. Stay at that body weight. Increase calories 50 to 100 calories a week. Try to stay at the same body weight. Adapt your metabolism to burning more calories. And try to be as strong as you used to be at a higher body weight before you cut down again.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to hear people ask, "Look, you're pretty jacked. I'm a guy. I don't have a lot of time to train, and I'm not strong by powerlifting measures. But like I can push some weight, and because that's not my main objective.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say to people, like, are you willing to think about it in months?
Yeah.
Are you willing to go like 230 down to 220 and strength up again, and then down from 220 to 210 and strength up again?
Yeah.
And what I say to people, they always ask me like, okay, I eat a decent amount of food. I eat a lot of food, and I'm 38, so I'm not a young blood, and I'm not at least obese, and I can move a little bit. And I say to them, they ask me, what's the best way to kind of stay relatively lean and strong? And I always say to them, the only way you can stay lean and strong is that you can stay relatively lean at high calories.
Yeah.
So if you don't adapt your metabolism over a year or 2, there's only one way to stay relatively lean, and that's staying relatively lean on high calories.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen, because if you're hungry and cold all the time, you're not going to be lean because you're going to quit.
Yeah. It's going to be very hard to train through that too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. They don't want to, so like, I have a certain goal for September, and now my kid isn't sleeping at all, and I'm working on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. So winning at this moment is not getting heavier and still getting a little stronger. I might not be getting stronger in my low bar squat, but I can be getting stronger in another squat. I might not be getting stronger in this exercise, but I'm getting stronger in that exercise.
Yeah.
So I think people are not willing to put like, same thing with the business. They always say like, you have an advantage, you can do it because of something, instead of just like, it's going to take 5 years to build a very successful business.
Yeah.
It's going to take 5 years to develop a relatively good body.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sell the program like, be not where you want to be, but considerably better than you were at 5 years.
Yeah, that's not the sexiest title, but it's the most accurate.
Yeah, it's the most accurate.
Yeah. Well, branching off of that, like, you gave some great advice for people that are trying to, maybe lose weight and get stronger. I also have some advice, but it's much more abstract. So
just like there's a million ways to do it.
There's a million ways to do it. So this would be my
people
advice.
Need something to hold on to.
Yes. So if I were to talk to my old self, who was heavier and
not as sexy,
and still as hairy, not as sexy.
Yeah. Well, that's beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That's fair. What I would say is, if you've been trying to do something and you've been trying to do it a certain way for a long time, and you're not making much progress doing it that way, are you listening? Look at what you're listening to. Are you listening to maybe like the internet? Are you looking at like certain social media people? Are you looking at even your surrounding people? If the way you've been doing it historically hasn't been working, you need to do something different. And I know that sounds super simple, but it's something that I needed to hear, right?
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, the stuff that I was doing was stuff that I thought was the way to do it, based on what I was reading. It's not. It's just a way.
That's kind of what I always say to people. Like, when people ask me, what do you think about veganism? Like, what do you think about this or that? I always say to people the same answer, because I'm a douche. I always say, like, I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a dogma.
Yeah.
I don't have a religion.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care where good comes from. In many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where people think they want to be like, they want to lock onto something. And they don't want to think like, it's going to take more time than you think.
Yeah.
It's going to take more time than you think. And maybe you've experienced it yourself. If there's someone better than you at a particular thing, and he would ask you, why do you think I'm better than you at that particular thing? In the beginning, people always want to say, well, it's your family situation, it's your genetics, it's your IQ. It's like they always give you some, you can do it and I can't do it because you have some advantage.
Right.
They usually don't give you that, like, you outwork me.
Yeah.
Or you've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
Or like, do you know what I mean? Because when you do that, if you were stronger than me, it's simply because you've practiced that particular exercise.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting segue into a topic I kind of want to talk about, or I kind of wanted to talk about.
Yep.
People's focus on their external locus of control versus their internal locus of control. There is a huge mindset, and it seems to be mostly North America. I'm not sure, maybe other places too, but people tend to focus much more on what we just talked about, their external locus of control. So things that they can't control in their life, like, oh, today is shit because the weather's bad, or today is shit because, someone just like hit my car when it was parked on like the side of the road, and I can't do anything about that. It's shit. My day is shit. My day is ruined. Everything sucks. Versus, what can you do in your internal locus of control, meaning that things that you can control in your own life that can make things a little bit better.
So we go a little pop psychology on this.
Right.
What is the word reaction?
The word reaction? So
it's action response. And how you respond to it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
So like how you react to the world. That's mindset. That's kind of what I'm saying to people. Like, the world is going to continue happening.
Yeah. So my favorite analogy for this kind of stuff is the cup analogy, or maybe like a pitcher. So a pitcher of water, just think about that. Throughout the day, we fill that cup with a certain amount of things, and those range from external things that we can control and internal things that we can control. If we're just constantly dumping in stuff from both sides, it's just going to overflow, and we're going to not have a great reaction.
Yeah.
And we can control that by the external locus of control stuff that happens to us. You know what? Can't control it. Doesn't matter. It's going to be there anyway. But the other stuff we can control. We can always like turn things around or make things a little bit better, which is the definition of resiliency, the ability to bounce back from adversity. And that takes a lot of effort, and it's hard work, and it's a trained thing. I think that's a practice skill. I don't think that's an automatic thing for most people. Maybe some people.
You have to like teach it. Some of it is failing and so on, but like it's the same thing. Like, I've been there. If somebody's more successful in a particular thing, is your first reaction, oh, he outworked me?
No, not at all. It's always like, oh, well, he has better mentors, he grew up in a better environment, he has more money already.
Just genetics are good, or...
Yeah. There's always those excuses.
It's like creating a victim in yourself. It's so incredibly dangerous to look at yourself as a victim, because you can then justify why you're failing.
Yeah. Until
you look into the accountability mirror.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who maybe just heard that little bit and are taking it to mean that it's not okay to think those things. It is okay to think those things. It's a natural human response to things. But being able to practice the skill of critical thinking and analyze what you just thought about in response to certain actions, and then maybe take something different from it. So as a random example, let's go back to somebody ran into my car. Your snapshot reaction would be like, oh, well, they're not going to pay for this. Like, now my insurance is screwed. Now I'm like, I owe a ton of money. Or I owe a ton of money. I got to fix this. Then you could think like, oh, well, you know what are the other things that happened today that were good? Maybe this doesn't define my whole experience, and it won't make my whole day turn sour. I don't want this to impact the other people in my life. Like,
yeah, it's also like you bent your fender.
Yeah.
Can you put hot water in, get a plunger and pull it out?
Yeah.
That your car looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, okay, do you go on YouTube and can you learn how to patch up a fender?
Yep.
Can you learn how to paint it in?
Yep.
And that's kind of like, that's exactly what I'm always trying to say to people. It's like me shooting this podcast, I have to learn about cameras, frame rate, audio, DSLR, video restriction, sensors. I'm doing it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because it's I don't have time to do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's kind of like the whole spiel. That's the beauty of things. Mm-hmm. Developing new skills. And that's why it's so dangerous becoming complacent.
Yeah. Yeah. And, nobody wants to be that guy that blows up over every little thing that happens to them. It's not
Well, I learned that from Jocko Willink. It's like
the second book that you recommended, I think.
Well, I've read 3 books. He wrote The Dichotomy of Leadership, he wrote Extreme Ownership, and now he's reading Advanced Strategics and Tactics for Leaders, a field manual. But like I read a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. And what he said, like, only a weak mind loses his temper, because that means you can control your mind.
Yeah.
So people think that's alpha. No, it's a very weak mind. You can't control his temper.
Exactly.
So like when you have when you tell yourself the story that you have no reactions to your feelings, your feelings isn't not like the weather. Mm-hmm. Like the feelings are not like the weather. Yeah. What we say in Iceland is a great way of demonstrating a different mentality. In Iceland, we say there's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it.
Well, that's exactly how you should look at it.
It's adapting to an environment.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're thinking, like, there's no such thing as a bad day. It's an appropriate mindset.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I say, like, this year, I just started to do something different. Mm-hmm. And it's been a hard year. Like, the coronavirus is coming up, my wife broke her tailbone, my grandfather died, I had another kid, mm-hmm. The harder life gets, other people will make it break them.
Yeah.
And the harder life pushes me, I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That just means that, like, you are seeing if I want this. You're seeing if I really want this. I have to prove to the world, philosophically speaking, like, the world is saying, do you want this? Mm-hmm. And I have to say to the world, I'll show you how much I want it.
Right.
That's what I really meant by loving the grind.
Yeah.
The world is just saying, like, walls are not to keep people out. Mm. They're just to divide them from the people who really want it and the people who don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this example just popped into my head, which is kind of the thing that we were just talking about there is, so everybody who has been in the job of being like a clinician or like a rehab professional in some sort of capacity will inevitably have clients that are tough. Like, not necessarily like personality wise, like I'm not talking about like people who are dickheads. I'm talking about people who maybe aren't responding to treatment in the way that our past clients have and stuff like that.
They're just human.
It's just human. I had one about 1.5 years ago, and it was this client who was having...
Are you sure you can divulge this?
Well, there's no names or anything. It's just a random example. So...
I wouldn't.
Okay. So, anyways. Okay. So... Start now?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, I had a client.
Let's just say, sometimes we meet people in our lives.
Right.
that are hard to help.
Yeah. So we can either focus on all the negative from that experience. So if you're talking to someone and you're having like a hard time talking to them, or maybe you're trying to help somebody and you're just not getting through to them.
Yeah.
Then don't focus on what you're doing that isn't helping. Focus on what you can learn from this experience to help other people in the same scenario.
Yeah, I would say, like, I learned this from one of the books that I read. It's like, always make it your fault. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you a story that you might not want to hear.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm still going to tell it because, like, screw it. as you've noticed after being here in my clinic, like usually when I leave during the day, 99.99% of the time, everything is squared away.
Right.
Things are made, things are the right thing, chairs are stacked in the right, everything is done a certain way before I leave. And sometimes you have someone like you are my friend, and every time you show up, something is not like the way it's supposed to be. You can get pissy about it, definitely. Or you could think to yourself, well, this is on me. I haven't demonstrated enough ability or skill or teaching power to try to show that lesson to the person. Try to make it about you. So if you want someone to stack your chairs or something, you say to them, oh, it's not you, it's me. I am a little bit OCD. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's not you, it's just like, I'm a little bit OCD. The problem is mine. Do you think you can do this for me because I'm the problem? That's kind of a great way to get to people. It's kind of like, make it your problem.
Yeah.
If your relationship is not going well, just think, okay, I am obviously not being the husband that I should be.
Right.
I am obviously not being the therapist that I should be. And that's accepting extreme ownership.
Right.
And that's kind of where I say to someone, like, instead of getting pissy about it, you just think, okay, obviously I haven't done it often enough, or obviously I didn't have the skill to try to show that person why discipline is important.
Right.
Because that's kind of means that like you can change the situation. That's with the therapeutic relationship. It's also like very important. It's like nobody takes my clients. If somebody goes to another person, that's not because of the person. That's because of me. If some other guy is selling more pizzas than you and you have a pizza place, it's nothing to do with the other guy. It's on you. That's always accepting the responsibility for like, if things are not going, there's no such thing as bad teams, there are only bad leaders.
Yeah.
If things are going wrong in your team, it's on you.
Yeah. Again, external locus of control, internal locus of control.
Yeah, and that's exactly where people have to think about this. It's like with anything. You weigh a certain way and you train a certain way and you live a life a certain way, and you know what I mean? It's on you. You have to accept responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
How to teach it is sometimes super hard for people.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, some people don't respond, as you say, as quickly as other people. That's the problem. But as soon as we accept the responsibility, we adapt.
Yeah.
We develop a new skill.
Yeah.
We develop a new way to reach a person.
Yeah.
As soon as we say the other person is difficult, then we don't grow.
Exactly.
But what do I know? I'm a meat and massage therapist.
You and me both.
Like I say to people, I'm a smart man, but I hide it very well.
It's that Canadian modesty coming out.
Oof. Not really. Me being a tool. Yeah, I think that was a fantastic thing. I think we should do the obligatory fist bump. And I want to thank Wolfboy Wells for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to do a slow motion fist bump?
Sure.
And that's right.